Kitaku Bonsai. Today I'm going to walk you through a new theory of mine that I'm going to put to the test for hardwood propagation of Japanese maples. But before we get into that, I want to bring up two things. First one is about you. Most likely you are not a subscriber to this channel. About 95% of viewers are not. And if you like trees and pots and bonsai and growing things just like I do, I would love it if you'd subscribe, show the love, similar interests, and I'll keep making videos that hopefully you'll enjoy and take something from. Second is about me. And if you've seen this channel before, you know that I'm not a bonsai professional. I'm just a guy who loves to work with trees and plants, and I'm trying to create a garden of my own, something that is wonderful to enjoy. But I'm trying to do it on a budget because I don't have thousands of dollars to spend every month on acquiring new material. So a lot of these videos are designed to show you how to, collect material, how to gather material, whether it's through collecting trees and plants from other locations, propagations, and things like that, so you can enhance your own collection with material to work on. So for me, that's what I'm trying to do right now, is to expand my collection of material in a really economical way so that I can learn and I can practice. And I've got lots of material that in the coming years I can work with and experiment with in hopes of just learning and growing in the art form itself. So I hope you'll check out some of the other videos that I've done. Hopefully you'll take something out of that and it'll inspire some new ideas or new thoughts. Share them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about what you're doing, things that you've tried, things that have failed, successes. Show me some pictures. I'd love to see what you, the viewer, are up to. All right, so that being said, let's get into today's project. Here is my backyard. And these maples this time of year are just beautiful. But man, they make a lot of leaves. We rake them every single day and there's still more leaves coming down. Anyway, this Japanese maple right here in front of you is going to be the subject of today's experiment. This tree I uprooted earlier in the year down in the Chesapeake Bay area of Maryland. Brought it home. It did well. Leafed out really fully. Was pretty vibrant. Very happy. And I like this tree. It has some flaws as far as bonsai go, but it also has some strengths. But more importantly for this guy, I want to test some theories I have for hardwood propagation. So let's get a little closer, I'll show you. If you like Japanese maples for bonsai material like I do, you'll want more of them, right? And so if you're going to propagate cuttings, whether softwood or hardwood, you're thinking about increasing your supply of pre-bonsai material. Well, I have a theory that by using hardwood cuttings like this, that would have a new leader on it already, that I think this would have a much better chance at not only rooting, but if it does, then by next year, you've already got the start of a fairly thick trunk Japanese maple that will grow on and through the coming years, develop into something thicker much faster. Like some of these pencil-sized shoots, of course, you can propagate those fairly easily, but it's going to take 5 or 6 years before that's thick enough to really do something that's going to be substantial. Now here's one that's maybe double pencil thick. I think that could be a good candidate. So I've already marked off some of the areas where I think I'd like to make some cuts. So if that's going to be a base, here might be a top. And it's already got the new leader right there. And so for that section, there's already some movement in it. So plus, one other thing to consider with this project too, is that if you have seen propagations with fig cuttings, people that love fig cuttings are all about wax. And this one's straight out for you, Ben Seattle, because people that are in love with fig cuttings and fig trees use wax to seal sometimes tops and bottoms of the cuttings to keep them preserved so they'll last before they get planted. Well, I've never really seen that done in terms of hardwood propagation of Japanese maples, but I think that the same principles would apply. And if we wax, especially the apical ends of the cutting, I think we'll see a greater success rate in terms of rooting and growing on. So I'm going to incorporate that into today's project and see, of course, we're going to have to wait till next spring and summer to see if we're successful or not. But I want to test this theory because I think there's something to it that we could use as bonsai people in our propagation techniques. So with this tree, I'm just going to carve it up into sections that are maybe, 8 to 10 inches tall, long, whatever, and see if we can get some decent sized cuttings, each with a leader already shooting out of it. I'm going to wax the apical ends to seal in moisture and prevent any kind of rot or disease or decay. And I'm going to use some rooting hormone and put them in the propagation tank or medium, which is vermiculite and perlite. All right, so I'll show you some shots on how this comes along. All right, so I brought them under my deck, out of the sun, and we're going to go on to step 2, which is to wax the apical ends. So here, what do we got? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cuttings of various sizes. But by and large, each of them, has a new leader on it that's intact. And I didn't chop it, or I tried not to. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But I figure if they're intact, that should help preserve moisture in the cutting. And of course, then on the base, we're going to put on some rooting hormone and put them in our propagator. But look at this guy. I mean, who knows? Who knows if this is going to work or not? But let's say we get some roots out of this end. I mean, that's already a massive trunk. And if we got a new leader that comes out next spring and grows on, and I mean, that's some decent material. So I'm really hopeful this is going to work. Okay, just a little detour to the kitchen here. I set up a double boiler to use the Gulf wax for the cuttings, but you're not supposed to microwave this stuff, and I didn't really have a way to heat it up outside. So I just cut up a little Coke can because that's thick enough to get all the cuttings down into to dip them. And we're just gonna kind of take our time, melt this wax down, take it outside, and prepare the cuttings. Okay, here's where we're at so far. All of these guys have been waxed at the top. Lock in the moisture, so they say, right? Now, next step is to get some rooting hormone and stick them in the propagator. So here's the propagator tub that I used from last year with the mix of vermiculite and perlite. I think I put in a little succulent blend there too that I got from the hardware store. Anyway, it's all inorganic material. It's incredibly light when it's dry. It's very fluffy, incredibly fast draining. It is damp right now from the rain the other night, so I don't really have to water it beforehand. Basically, I'm gonna scoop a lot of it to the side. I'm gonna put some rooting hormone on the cuttings, and I'm gonna pack them in pretty tight. The reason being is if they're gonna root, and the roots are gonna find moisture and work. And if they're not gonna root, well then I don't wanna waste a whole lot of space because I'm actually trying to pack a lot in here. So again, this is kind of experimental. You know, maybe I'll shoot myself in the foot by next spring with this, who knows. But then again, maybe it'll work out well. I'm hopeful. I'm gonna use a cloning gel. This is what I used last year, and I had a half a dozen successful cuttings, so I'll repeat the process, and we're gonna hope for something to grow. And so here you go. Stumps, right? That will hopefully root, and you know, we'll have some good material to start working with fast. They're all waxed on the top. They have plenty of moisture in the bottom. Rooted hormone. The whole project took less than an hour. So hopefully these guys aren't going to dry out. I'll put the lid on here, keep them out of the sun. And I've got many more to stick in the other half. So we'll put them away for the winter and hope for next spring that lots of new roots and leaves come out. And again, like and subscribe would be a big deal to help show the love. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.